Hey, everybody. Welcome to Monday Night Call. I'm Sabrina Diaz, Emerald Ambassador. And tonight we're going to go through a book that I've been reading. This is called The Bounce Back Book. And it's more about like tips on how to come out of like negative thought processes and default settings and things like this. So I made a PowerPoint so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. If I start to talk about something you're not sure. So let's go here and then you can let me know if you see it. So now you can let me know if you see it. We good? All right. All right. So the bounce back, creating a stable business through a mind shift instead of a mindset. So we're going to go into a quote that I absolutely love. This is from Buddha. We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we create our world. And why this stands out to me and why I wanted to bring it up tonight is because our thoughts is the conductor of our productivity. If we think we know what we're doing, we do it. If we don't think, if we're hesitant, we won't do it. It is the conductor of all productivity that we are doing. And thoughts are powerful, yet they need direction. So not all thoughts come with instructions. We can get caught up, and I'm going to walk you through tonight how to redirect certain situations. So going into this, what is the difference between mindset and mind shift? And I put two definitions here, but the real word that you have to see on both ones that I have underlined is that a mindset is a set. It is set in stone. It's something that you have decided. And a mind shift is constantly adjusting. So a mindset, the established set of attitudes held by someone, and a mind shift is investigating and adjusting assumptions, beliefs, and ways of thinking. And the reason why I bring this up is you have to make a shift in your thought process before you can make a mindset decision. And sometimes we can set ourselves up for failure by making a mindset and really going, hard all in. And yet we didn't take what we needed to do beforehand and figure out the steps. So basically what it is we are planning. That is what a mind shift is. And the best analogy that I could come up with, so go with me, just being a personal trainer and certified in nutrition, I was thinking about some things that have been brought to my attention. I get a lot of people telling me, I want to do keto. And they just jump in. They're like, my mindset is I'm going to get skinny. I'm going to do keto. And they do no planning in between. And yet the night before, they're like, this is going to be great. And they get to about noon the next day and they're like, I'm hungry. And they go to their pantry and there happens to be carbs in there. And now you're hungry. So you're like, I'm just going to impulse eat. What if you took at least 2 days in between there and you made a shift? You start thinking of good substitutions. You go through the list. I like bread. I want to have a sandwich. So let's get low carb tortillas. Let's get low carb bread. Have those substitutes in there already. So you're not leading yourself to failure. You're setting yourself up for success. If you're looking for something sweet, having berries in the fridge, there instead of something like sugary and indulgent, you need to have these subtle little shifts before you can jump all in. And so I wanted to bring that up because it's in all aspects of life. You can't just go in without a plan and expect to succeed. So without giving yourself the time to make a shift, you cannot make healthy, accurate decisions. We are human and we need to take that time to process each move we're going to make, which leads me to being a forward thinker. Has anybody ever heard of being a forward thinker or what that could entail? I'm going to have my chat up. But whenever you're tempted to dwell about something in the past, repeat this single word or have a safe word in mind. Forward just happens to be the one that I was reading about, and it makes too much sense. You can dwell on anything. You can have all these negative thoughts come into your head, and they can shift you and shift you. But if you have this conversation, and just an example would be, things are hard in my business right now. That's the thought. But if you, at the end of saying that statement, you say, forward. You put your blinders on, you take a deep breath, you know where you're going. It doesn't matter if you have a one word, what's holding you back, or if you have a full novel in your head. As long as you have that safe word at the end of whatever you're saying, it's going to check you and bounce you back into place where you want to be. And that's why we're talking about the bounce back, because we're always going to be like a ping pong. We're always going to have thoughts. We're always going to have certain situations. This is called life. That's what life is. But I want to teach you tonight on how to bounce back when things go awry, when things are not, when it doesn't feel so great, when things are uncomfortable, when things are hard. Let's be for real. Things get hard. You know, life is hard, but I want to teach you how to bounce back from these situations so we don't get hung up and we don't dwell. So moving on into slide 3. Why are feelings so important? Feelings mean you're dealing. Hands down, no questions asked. If you're feeling something, if you're feeling uncomfortable, it means you're growing. If you're feeling uneasy, that means something's wrong. If you're feeling excited, something's about to happen. Feelings mean you're going to deal or dealing with something. That's why feelings are so important. That's why it's a God-given gift from God, given to us so we can accurately know what's going to happen. Feeling means something is going to happen. And if we can create what is going to happen next, our feelings are going to just meld together. We're going to have really good positive thoughts going into our future. But let's check this. So in here, I want to do a bunch of things in the chat. So we're going to stick on this slide for a little while. This business, we say this a lot. It is 80% mindset, 20% skill set. Okay. That is why this business is so hard. Let's just take a minute to think about that. You can go to school and learn all the skill sets all day long. You can train and train and train. Your mindset is the hardest thing to transform. 100% the hardest thing to transform, which is why this business is so hard. You have to talk yourself out of certain situations. So let's talk about number 1. I'm going to break this down into 4 sections. What can a negative thought do emotionally? Okay, and I'll give you guys some examples. So a negative thought can make you feel depressed. That's one. What other emotions can you feel? Sadness. Yep. Unmotivated. Anxiety, shame. Yep. So your thought process. These are all things that we want to be able to bounce back from. So these are the initial, sometimes the default setting, and we're going to learn how to bounce back from these. So if we're feeling depressed, we're going to learn how to bounce back and be happy. We're going to go the opposite feeling. So if you go in depressed, it's really important to know what the opposite of that feeling is and going towards and making progress towards that opposite feeling. So if you're depressed, the opposite is happy. If you're fearful, the opposite of that is excited. If you're angry, which is another emotion, when we get scared, when we get strung up, when things start getting overwhelming, we get angry. But if you can change that anger into calmness, take a step back, put blinders on, think it through, it's going to be okay. Your default is going to be the negative, change it to the positive. If you're overwhelmed, feel stable. Being stable is one of the best things that you could be in your business, and we're going to get there. If you have poor self-esteem, think about being confident, read about being confident, learn about how you can be confident. There is always a solution to the problem. But if you're going to dwell in the problem, you're never going to find the solution. So always think of the opposite of what you are feeling at that moment. So let's go into cognitive. So I wanted to break these down individually so you can all get an understanding as like all 4 sections of these, because we have so many feelings that are in all aspects: emotion, cognitive, physical, behavioral. They all affect us differently, and you might not know you're dealing with a certain situation unless it's brought to your attention. So cognitive, poor concentration and brain fog. What are other things that you can think of mentally that can hold you down by a negative thought process? Mentally tired, 100%. Procrastination. Yep. Stressed, unorganized. Yeah, these are all things that can go through your head all at the same time. But again, I'm going to teach you how to flip these, make things feel a little bit better, how to bounce back from being cognitively off. So if you have poor concentration and brain fog, learn about being alert, being present, being in the moment. There's a lot of mindfulness about this. There's a lot of studies about this. So focusing on mindfulness, bad reoccurring thoughts, believe it or not, there are good reoccurring thoughts. You can change all of those negative rat race, hamster wheel thoughts into something positive. You know, learning things, always making bad decisions, being in control. So if you're making bad decisions, learn how to be in control. Forgetfulness, being intentional. We can always come out here and say, you know what, I just forgot. I could, maybe next time writing it down in a calendar, or having an alarm on your phone, or having something set up. I love Post-its. I put Post-its everywhere. Having something set up so you can have the opposite reaction, and learning how to bounce back from cognitive thoughts. So we also can go into physical. There's a lot of physical things when you are depressed, when you feel lost, when you feel overwhelmed or anxious. There are so many physical traits that you can feel as well, which is headaches is one. If you know any other ones, shoot them out there. There's muscle soreness because you get tense all up in your neck. You might not realize that when you're on your computer and you're sending out all these messages and you're tightening, sending out those business builder messages, that can get, you know, that can really tense you up. These are different feelings that we get. Rapid heart rate, which is another one, which is not fun. Stomach problems, absolutely itchy. Yes, I get hives, feeling anxious, high blood pressure. It all brings me back to triggers of panic disorder. So definitely the physical is the most for me. Weight fluctuations, that doesn't mean gaining weight, y'all. It can mean losing weight because you stop eating. Some people can stop eating. I know when my anxiousness was getting out of control, I would actually stop eating. So you never know what someone is going through. So again, negative thoughts bounce back using positive thoughts with a simple mindset shift. These are just little shifts, little tweaks on how we can get those negative processes out and replacing them with positive. And last but not least, behavioral. So withdrawal, like retracting from certain situations. Are you getting on team call? Are you getting to that social circle? Are you going to momentum meetups? Those are things that can actually, when you have behavioral issues, it might seem to somebody else that you just don't want to be there, but you might have something going on. Something else besides that, being well-versed and talking about it. So behavioral, let's talk about that. Lack of sleep. If you're not getting sleep, there's zero chance that you're going to be able to function correctly. So eating disorders, laziness, doesn't even have to be laziness, just can't get up, typically. Bad decisions. So let's talk withdrawals. Okay, withdrawing from something, inserting yourself. Insert yourself, even if it feels uncomfortable, that means you're growing. That is a feeling that's overcoming certain situations. Lack of sleep, have a restful sleep. You will start to feel better. You'll have more energy. You'll cognitively be in charge. You are going to notice huge differences once you start sleeping. Laziness into energetic. Bad decisions into smart decisions. These are all tiny little tweaks that we can take from the negative to the positive. So I know that was a lot in one little slide, but I wanted to really pinpoint what each thing was so we can put them into different categories so we know what we're talking about. If you ask yourself limiting questions, you will 100% get limiting answers. And what does that look like? So examples, what if, why me, why didn't I? These are limiting questions that you can, again, tweak. And this is going to make your business way more stable. If you're constantly asking yourself a limiting question, you're going to have limiting progress as well. So if you change these questions into what can I do to move forward? How can I grow from this? What's within my control? Different things to grow you out of the situation that you are in. That's how you grow forward. And in this book, they were talking about bounce back assignments. And I thought this was fun. So I wrote them on these slides, so it gets a little bit crowded, but I wanted you guys to have these so you can write these down, because these are going to be in your tool belts. When you're having that bad day, when you're having those feelings that you don't know how to get out of, this is going to help you. We all have what if questions all the time. Okay, so this is a bounce back assignment, but these are like action steps. So next time a question pops in your head, ask yourself, is this a non-bounceable question? And if it is, drop it and watch your toes, because it's gonna go down hard. Drop it. Don't even think twice about it. Keep moving forward. It's taking that energy that we don't have enough of. If it's not a bounceable question, move back. Let it go. Move on to the next. Okay. So if you can write down that question in that toolbar. Okay. Here's another one. Find your bounceable people. Who supports you even when, sorry, let me move this. Okay, who supports you even when they might not agree with you 100%? Okay, we are so programmed to think that our friends that we have been friends with for a lifetime should be our people. Our family should have our back at all times. People that I love should love me back the same. Unfortunately, it's not the case. And these are going to be tools that you can figure out who's really there for you. And then I'm going to give you an action step. So who supports you even when they don't agree with you 100%? I have plenty of friends that might not buy from me, but they never bash me. They will always support me. They will always tell somebody about my products. If somebody came to them, they will tell them, hey, my girlfriend does this. They will support me in other ways. They will lift me up, talk to me when I'm down. They support me in different ways. Who is rooting for you to live your happiest life without competing or being jealous? What does this mean? Do you have friends that pretend to be your friends but throw unnecessary hurtful comments or have an opinion about something they weren't asked? We have those type of people. They like to just throw things out there. Most of the time it's under their breath, but is it necessary? Do you feel whole after having that conversation with that person? Do you feel like it has filled your cup? Find your people, and that's who you need to spend your time with if you want to fill that cup. Do you always feel happier after visiting and not more insecure? Is your cup filled afterwards? We had a fantastic weekend. I had some girls at my house this weekend. It was so nice. My cup was 100% full by the end of it. And I was like, you know what? Those are my people. I absolutely loved every second of it. So a bounce back assignment, spend a few hours a week with your bounceable people through social gatherings. It doesn't even have to be in person, y'all. It could be social gatherings, chats, video calls. Fill your cup. That is the quickest way to happiness that you can get. Filling your cup. That is going to bounce you back out of any situation that you're feeling. I could have been having such a bad day. And you know what? Saturday was not the greatest morning for me. But by the time Saturday night rolled around and I had my girls there with me, it felt so good. And Sunday I was just walking on water. It just felt really nice to be able to do that. I encourage you, take the time. We can all stay busy. It's really easy to be busy, but make the time for yourself. And I'm going to show you how I broke this down. So this was something really fun that I saw in this book, and it's not working. Create a balanced wheel of life. That's what this is called. So yours might not be as big as this, might not have it as many pieces of the pie. It could be completely different. These are just things that I want my circle to look like. And the bounce back assignment says, does your wheel roll along smoothly, or would it be a bumpy ride? You have to think about this. Really think about what is in your consecutive circle that you need to be doing every couple weeks. Figure out the areas you need to nurture and create a more balanced environment for you. And I can't stress this enough. You need to find that environment for yourself, not somebody else. You can't consistently make somebody else happy, including your kids and your spouse, and expect for yourself to constantly be happy as well. You have to fill your cup personally. So I have fun, faith, career. I love learning. It's one of my favorite things to do. I continuously learn. Rest. I like a good Netflix and chill night, you know, but it's definitely a piece of the pie. It's not half of it. Health, friends, and family. It's a well-rounded wheel for me. Take a screenshot of it, make your own, and make sure you're filling all of your gaps. So you're the best person that you can be and filling all of your gaps that you need to fill. So let's move on. Okay, so this one's going to be a little dicey, but go with me. Watch how you pepper your complaints. And this was a really incredible chapter for me, and I learned a whole lot about it. A situation will strike you twice, regardless of the situation, okay? Once in reality and once in your mind, okay? So it's gonna hit you twice, regardless. Be mindful of the way you describe the situation to yourself and to others. Do you want it to keep coming back? Do you want it to keep cycling? Okay, be mindful of who you are talking to, who you're venting to. After a situation, make sure you don't vent to someone who will enable you to stay in victim mode. Talk to somebody who's going to pull you out. If I got a bad day, I'm calling Tova, because she'll tell me that sucks. But what are you going to do? Like, what are we going to do about this? We can dwell, but we're not going anywhere. You know, she's a good friend. She's a very good friend. Don't get me wrong, but she will pull me out. She won't let me vent. She won't let me gossip. She won't let me sit there. She will just say, hey, listen, there's a better situation. There's a better solution to this. And we'll talk about that. While you learn to heal by self-reflecting and not talking about it too much. That's how you learn. You learn by self-reflecting. And I'm going to go into that in the next slide. What does that mean? You don't have to talk about every situation. You can talk to yourself. You can meditate. You can journal. You can talk to a therapist. There's other ways to get thoughts off of your mind than to actually physically talk to somebody. Because let's be real. Everybody doesn't need to know everything. They don't need to know everything. So watching how you pepper your complaints and who you're actually complaining to. Now, this is the fun part. So I didn't know this, and then I read this in this book, and it makes way too much sense not to pass this along. You're allowed to air complaints 3 times to get them off your chest, out of your system. But once a complaint hits 4 times, you need to let it go. It needs to turn into a vapor. It needs to go, okay? By bringing up and reliving the situation, you're allowing the complaint to linger and not be healed. At that point, you're not looking for a solution. You're looking to talk about the problem. So if you find yourself talking about it more than 3 times, it's time to move forward. It's time to let it go. Doesn't matter the situation, just let it go. And so the assignment would be, during reflection, avoid venting too much about the situation itself, and instead pepper a journal entry with strong, uplifting words to keep you strong and positive. And like I said, talking to your therapist is the same way. Leaving Post-it notes around your house is the same. You want to empower yourself to be better instead of the dwell. So where do we go from here? Don't allow yourself to stay stuck, be negative, dwell on the little things, or hide from any situation. You have the ability to bounce back and be better and stronger than ever before. These are the tools that I'm giving you tonight to make that happen. Use your tools. They are scientifically proven to work. They've been used for several years. And this was one of my favorite things that I'm going to leave you with. Happiness is a choice, not just a matter of good luck. H equals S plus C plus V, which is voluntary activities, current conditions, set point for happiness is going to create your level of happiness. You have the ability to create your own happiness and not to get stuck in somebody else's dwell. So that's what I have for you guys tonight. And I hope you got a little bit out of it on how to redirect those thoughts. And now I have to figure out how to stop this. Stop share. Sorry, here we go. And I hope you guys have a great night. Don't miss Fallon's call in about 3 minutes. Have a good night, guys.